This is a very important thing to record. A group of higher beings, angels, archangels, fairy elders, earth elements, galactic family members, and other higher beings that are here to support us right now to ascend into this 5D life. She is the author of 7 books, and 5 of them are channeled from the collective. And her latest book is what we're going to talk about today, which I'm so excited about. Lennon Speaks, Messages from the Spirit of John Lennon, one of the 20th century's leading musicians and peace activists. She is also a co-host on A Night at the Round Table, and she is a moderator of the Abundance Group, which is a beautiful community of light workers that are committed to raising their vibration and creating a vision of a peaceful and beautiful, prosperous new earth. So with all of that, Caroline, welcome. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Thank you so much, Demetria. Hello to everyone. Much love to everybody. And I'm just thrilled that we're having this lovely discussion. And if you've got a comment or question, put it in the chat because Demetria is open to that. But thank you so much for being here. And thank you to Demetria for hosting this.
Well, it's huge. I have to tell you, it was a year ago, and I think it's to the day. I think it was like December 12th. And I was at a retreat, and they were playing that song, Imagine, with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. And I was so incredibly inspired. I didn't grow up listening to the Beatles, so their music was actually relatively new to me. And so I was listening to that, and I just thought, and I was telling somebody there, I thought, we need this again. We need the Beatles, like at this time, like these super creative, artistic geniuses who are committed to humanity, who really are, they care about human beings, they care about our planet. And I remember I felt such a strong, gosh, we need them to come back somehow. And then here we are a year later, and you have a book where you're so that I'm not talking too much. I think probably the first question to ask you is, how did this come about? Like, how did it come about that you were able to speak with John Lennon?
Well, I wouldn't have thought that it was that possible, and it wouldn't have occurred to me on my own, even though he's been a mentor to me since I was really young. I was 3 when the Beatles came to America in 1964. And I don't remember them on the Ed Sullivan Show, but I do remember all the Beatlemania that followed. And I was as into it as anybody, and singing their songs really loudly in play school and all this stuff. And then grew up with John's astounding activism and his beautiful music he did as a solo artist after the Beatles broke up. And I don't know, my friend Shirley Ballstock, who is an amazing psychic medium, she and I were both at a group gathering in Minnesota. This is about a good year and a half ago or more. And she said, I knew she channeled John Lennon, amongst other wonderful musicians and people, historical figures who have passed. And she said, John really wants to work with you. And I was just blown away by that. I thought, what do you mean? I didn't know what to make of it. So I put it off for a year. I didn't channel anything. I had it in the back of my mind. I had a lot going on in my life anyway. And then last summer, I just started asking him questions about, how did we get to this place where we are on the earth, and asking about his personal life, his relationships with women, and when did you come into music? Did music kind of choose you, or did you choose it, sort of a thing? And it all just came forward. So I'm very thankful. I really am. And she said he's been one of my guides for a while, which is nice. Shirley said that, yeah.
Yeah, well, I can absolutely see the resonance, because it's interesting, because that's how I found you, because I had listened to I had read other channeled works and listened to channel, but with you, it's a very high level of integrity, and the channeling, the words that come out, they really show a compassion. That's the biggest thing I noticed, is a compassion for humanity. And that was one of John Lennon's big thing. I mean, even just listening to that song, imagine, like, what song is even out there like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagining a world where we can all live as one, that we can all live in peace. Most popular music now are not really kind of singing about those things. So, so I could definitely see the resonance.
Yeah, and that vision was no national borders like what we
Yes.
have now. You don't have to present a passport to go from one country to another. None of the emotional borders of separate religions and separate this and that. Now, I don't go with the one world religion idea, because that's the old one world government idea, and I don't go with that at all. But I think that all these separations need to dissolve. We can certainly still love our individual traditions. I come from the Christian tradition. I have a lot of respect for it. I just feel like it was twisted. It hasn't been relayed in kind and, like you say, compassionate terms. And that's a terrible tragedy, in my opinion. So he just kind of, he doesn't mince words. He doesn't ignore the density. He does talk about it, but then he lifts us up and over that. And I feel like really the collectives, I felt their energy present, even as I was channeling it. And he said, yeah, I work with them. I said, okay, all right, great. So their energies will be present in this book, and they are. Yeah. Sometimes he would say, this is something people on the other side will do. Sometimes they'll say we instead of I, which is kind of cool, because they're in oneness, they're in unity. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where it's like very specifically him speaking, and then you'll see it kind of go into a broader, it kind of goes broad, and then it comes into the granular, like very specific details. I want to refer to and this part, and this is in the beginning of the book, and it speaks to what we have been teaching, about abundance, about true abundance. And he says something, so sooner or later, in the Western culture, it is difficult to maintain a highly simplified life without a strong commitment.
Yeah.
You've been taught to be ashamed of that. How pathetic that you don't own very much. So sooner or later, most will fall in line, because even the ground you walk on has been ingrained with the earn a living and prove yourself by what you buy pressure. What a bizarre idea. As if you aren't qualified to breathe without having earned it first. Rubbish. And that right there, I was like, I just kept going back to this. There's so many different parts of the book. I was actually having a hard time, just picking certain ones. But this is, this is everything that I personally, and I know you as well, want everyone to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I used to be a minimalist and then veered away from that for a while. And as you start to earn better, you will buy more things very often, because we've been programmed. We've absolutely been brainwashed to buy stuff. Even if we don't need it, we feel we need it. And, advertising starting in like the 20s or 30s, it shifted from you need this because it's an essential to you need this because this is your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we started this overconsumption stuff, which is not necessarily a healthy situation for us mentally and emotionally or physically, and certainly not helpful spiritually. And then I went through this situation where the place I was living in for 3.5 years in Sedona, Arizona, had a leaky water heater in the condo, and I didn't realize it. So there was all this black mold on the wall, deep inside a deep kitchen cabinet. I didn't know it was there, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And then the water heater was leaking enough that it, leaked into the condo below me. So we had to have the plumber pull out that heater to replace it. And that's when we saw all the mold. And so when I left that condo, I moved to California at that point. I thought I was going to anyway. I thought I'll just go a few months early. I had to get rid of like 97% of what I own because the mold spores will stick to anything unless you can wash it, unless it's ceramic or metal or glass and you can wash stuff off. So I came here to California with almost nothing. And then I found I preferred that. And so when he talks about minimalism in the sense of just stop feeling like you have to own a bunch of stuff, because that's not only is it not necessary, it's not optimal. It's not the best way to live. And when he talks about that, I thought, wow, I understand that now. I don't think I really grasped it when I was younger, but I really do understand it now. And it's not for everyone. Everyone's got to find their balance, what's right for them. I read Fumio Sasaki's book, Goodbye Things. He was practically a hoarder at one point. He's a young Japanese man who was practically a hoarder. And then he realized that this need to compulsively buy stuff and to prove himself to other people, according to what he owned, was making him ill. It was just not good. And what happened with him is what happened with a lot of people. He dropped 20 pounds after he got rid of all these objects because he was just releasing. He was just affirming, I'm letting go of everything I don't need. And yeah, it's a very healthy thing. So I encourage people, I don't make it a strict rule. I don't try to shame people who own a lot, totally fine. Do what works for you. But for me, I found like that was very liberating, very, very liberating. And a big part of my abundance, bizarrely enough.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I also, went through a period of that as well. And I think a lot of people are right now,
Yeah.
and have been during this time, is like, and it's not about you're not trying to prove anything. It's
No,
not that you're creating another ego identity of you're now I'm a minimalist, look at me. It's
good
nothing
point.
like
Yeah,
that.
good
It's
point.
just that it's just that, you look and you realize, okay, I'm holding on to these things because I believe that I may need them in the future, or I may, they may have been valuable at one point or useful at one point.
Yes.
And then you don't realize that, oh gosh, when you just allow them to go, and just allow them to go as they're naturally intended to do, that you're making that space to really recognize what the value that you already have that was just kind of covered up with this old stuff.
Yeah.
And that apply, like, it's so symbolic to everything. It's symbolic to your energy level, to the spirit, what you've got going on, the mental programs. And he talks a lot about that too.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, if you want to just share like what he has to share, because I could go on and on. So
No,
go.
that's fine. That's fine. He talks about how we're raised, we have been for thousands of years on this planet. Not only was our DNA downgraded, excuse me,
Yeah.
but we have been subjected to all of this training, all of this mental and etheric, energetic programming. And he talks about the old matrix, and he says it is fading now, it is dissolving. And as this light's coming in, we're waking up increasingly. But he does point out that a lot of what we identify as ourselves, and that's a brilliant point you made. Let's not have an ego identification
Yeah.
with symbolism like we used to have with commercialism, materialism.
Yeah.
Same stuff, different day. So he does point out that we've really been programmed, but then he moves on from that and says, look, he doesn't blame anyone necessarily. He doesn't say, oh, these evil lowlifes, let's hate them. He just says, look, this was a big experiment. We took on density on this planet. We took on duality. So that the way we see life, there's always going to be a good man and a bad one, a good woman and a bad one, the dark and the light. And in fact, the dark can't exist without the light. Everything is at some point or another comes around to meeting what is supposedly its opposite. And he just encourages us to realize we're coming out of duality now. We're coming out of that good, bad, dark, light sort of polarity in our thinking. And this is almost kind of hard to grasp. It's hard for me to grasp because when I see what's gone on with the environment, what's going on in healthcare, what's going on in education and government and on, it's hard for me not to get angry sometimes to see the injustices. And I think to myself, all right, we're playing out the last of this old drama. We've all had our role to play. We've all been the predator, not only the victim. And he talks about that as well, the savior/victim paradigm and how we're coming out of that as well. So it's not just another book about gird up your loins and be strong against the dark. He invites us to see that we've all got a shadow aspect, but not to judge that, not judge it, just pull it into the light, just love that and integrate it. That's a big step for anyone.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that part up because that's probably one of the most significant parts about it. Because you're right, it's not at all about he's not creating us against them.
Oh
And
no.
that's a big thing. That's a big thing because we are being called now to go beyond all of that duality, to go beyond all of that. It's us, it's them, it's the bad, it's the good. But like you said, you know, he does though go into the granular.
Yeah.
You know, he does take you into the specifics because of the questions also that you ask. You ask some very very pertinent and very current questions about what is going on in the world on many different levels: societal, political, economic. And so he goes in and he very specifically answers the questions. And then as he takes you in, so that he, you know, there's no denial, there's no bypassing. It's like you're going in and then he's like raising you above it. You know, he's kind of like, and with the collective as well. So that's something I really, really appreciated about the book.
Well, yeah. And, you know, in the time since I started channeling it, and between this, then, you know, a year ago in the summer and now this summer, of course, the pandemic happened. And so I asked him about that. And what do you do if you're running out of money because you lost your job because of the pandemic? And how are you supposed to feel good about life and not feel isolated and not feel frightened as well?
Right.
And he walks us through a lot, whether it's about visualizations, viewing our life from a higher level, giving thanks, which lifts our vibration. And he points out you can't really think creatively. You can't solve things from a place of fear and anxiety and worry and stress. And the co-creative ability gets shut down. And of course, we do hear that. And I agree. It's difficult. It's very difficult to operate in fully. And to hear your guides, to get higher guidance and assistance if you're going to be stressed and anxious. So he works to pull us out of that. And not just with his ideas, but with his energies, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, here, okay, I just found another another section that also is very affirming, which has also been another thing that I know you've talked about, and I have been a big proponent on this because I feel that we've been a little bit, you know, I mean, it really goes back as long as I can remember, but there's the whole, your thoughts create your reality. But there's an energy behind that teaching, right? Like with the law of attraction, there's something about like, oh, well, whatever you created, you just, you know, you thought about it, like just change your thoughts and, you know, everything will be okay. But he says something, you know, he says, your emotions come first in this,
Yes.
even before your thoughts. You have been taught the opposite. The patriarchal system demands that people value the mind over the heart every time.
Yeah.
Deny them that. They don't deserve your obedience, and you have no more to give there. It played out, that scheme. And that just, I was just to like read that, I couldn't believe, like, because every time I'll hear somebody say that, that's what I immediately, it's like I feel this, it gets this surge of emotions that are saying like, we're trying to communicate to you, it's like, so going into the like feeling what you're feeling first, and then it's like the thoughts, the positive thoughts just come naturally when we acknowledge ourselves, when we allow ourselves to be who we are, right? So I'll let you share about that.
Yeah, and to meet the moment without resistance, which might feel like it's asking a lot in the middle of a pandemic when one has reduced income or lost income, potentially even lost the home, like a lot of people are facing. That can sound like it's asking too much. And I follow. These are very intense times we're in. And I don't feel like our government has really been there for the working person. And I won't get into the politics of it. I'm not very happy with either party at the minute, is all I'll say. Yeah, when he says the heart comes actually before, and emotions are what really produce the shift. And he also points out that our subconscious really runs our lives. It's not just enough to think, oh yeah, in conscious terms, I want to create this. I get emails from people all the time that say, I've been affirming this, I've been concentrating on this, I've been telling my body to heal, and nothing's happening, nothing's coming through. And that's because the subconscious is so powerful and our emotions are so powerful. And I feel like when he's saying that, he's pointing out the power of the feminine and the divine feminine, the feminine aspect of the human psyche and soul. That's what he's talking about. He's not only talking about, oh yeah, emotions, power, thoughts. It's bigger than that. He's looking at it, the whole scheme, the whole universal scheme, that the divine feminine has returned to this earth, and it's shifting everything. So we're coming into our own because we're regaining that whole half of ourselves that we just lost for so long. It's just been suppressed, something tremendous. It's an amazing time. It really is an amazing time to be alive. But yes, thank you for pointing that out. But just thinking something isn't always enough to manifest it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember there's so much frustration for me because I could see for some people it really was kind of easy. I mean, they would just think about it and they were good because maybe they didn't have those kinds of subconscious beliefs or lineages of certain traditions of how, women or what women were allowed to do or allowed to have, right? So I think that's an important, what we're talking about, understanding that subconscious, and he talks about that as well, about people don't realize how much they are influenced by not only the collective energies, but like their ancestral beliefs.
Yeah.
Ancestral energies, like it's way beyond anything we could be, conscious of. And he really encourages actually, it's like you're too close to it, and that it's definitely worth an investment, investing a bit of time and money to have somebody to be that witness for you, to see those parts that you can't see.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I find it's irreplaceable in my life to have someone like yourself say, or my friend Shirley, who first told me about John wanting to work with me, to have their input and their ability to look at my situation, say, or any one person's situation with the objectivity that someone's going to have because it's not their situation, and they're able to read energy and they're able to hear guides and able to call on the special helps, higher guides and healers in the etheric, say, for instance. And I find that just irreplaceable. And hopefully, this book is one of those presences, like the collective's books, that they're relaying, supposedly thinking in, objective terms and speaking about huge issues that affect everyone, having to do with healing or abundance or relationships or whatever it is. But the energies that flow from these books actually assist each person on their individual path. So it's not just like reading a textbook where you get certain information and you're sort of, all right, yes, I've recorded that mentally. The energies work with you, which is kind of cool. And I hadn't really realized that. It's kind of like having an energy worker friend in the room. Maybe not exactly, but it's similar.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That's why I couldn't put it down. I was reading it, and I think I read it over 2 or 3 days. I read the whole book because I
Well,
couldn't. It was, and I was actually kind of bummed when it was over. So
a few people told me that. A few people told me that, and they reread it, which is good because there's a lot there. You might need to reread it. Yeah.
well, I can say I plan on it. Okay, I have to read another. If anybody has any questions, I think Caroline, you're willing to take a couple questions.
Sure, sure, absolutely, I am.
So
Yeah.
if anybody has questions, feel free to put it in the chat. But I do want to read another thing he said that I also thought was so big right now as well. And he said, I would say, and this is in response to, you were talking about how these major issues going on with people, like people are having like a hard time with like economics and
Oh, yeah.
injustice and, you were saying, is there some hope? Is there hope for the future? And he says, I hold out more than hope, friend. I hold celebration. I hold out amazement that humanity has come so far in such a relatively short amount of time, though it won't seem that way to some of you now. I would say start celebrating. What you know is inevitable now. The liberation of an entire planet, and you're here to see it. This we know, that the way carved out from here to the higher realms is unfolding, and none of the powers of heaven and earth can stop that now. You all, as gods and goddesses who work with universal energies to create the new, have decided that, and none can prevail against you. I would just say, get off your seriousness. It's your job now to have a good laugh, to listen to music that inspires you, to stop feeling that the outer struggle defines your life. It doesn't. Stop falling for appearances. Even the mountains you've been climbing are bowing to you now. The oceans, the rivers flow at your command. The skies await you. Celebrate. Now is the time, and it's true. In all of this, you are never alone, and you are greatly loved.
Yeah. Yeah, really lovely. I love that part. He's letting his poetic side come through as well. Yeah.
And this is just one little bit, and then he'll take you again deeper, and then he'll bring you into this higher vista, oh, it's just incredible. Okay, let's see. I think I saw a question. Okay, Catherine, what is your reaction stories of a galactic? Okay,
Yeah.
I just lost it.
Council.
Did you see it?
Yeah, there was a story that came out recently. Andrea's asking, was a celebration quote. I think that's very near the end. Is that very near the end of the book, hon?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, pretty much the end of the book, Andrea. Catherine's asking, there was that Israeli former space security chief and a professor who came out and said there's a Galactic Federation, and some people in government know about it. Did you hear that at all, Demetria? It was in the news recently.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know. I've been. I'll be honest. I haven't been watching the news.
That's fine. I mean, I encourage people to step away from the news when they can, because it can just get to be too much. But anyway, this fellow came right out and said there's a Galactic Federation. So I can ask for John's reaction. My reaction is, if you're asking me, Catherine, my reaction is that disclosure is occurring. It's unfolding even as we speak. Okay, and full disclosure is coming because Nassar is unfolding. So yeah, you're going to see this increasingly. And these monoliths as well. In the past, they would have kept that out of the news. But these monoliths, one in California and one in Romania, one in Utah, you notice how some people came and took away the one in Utah pretty fast, and then others popped up. So yeah, disclosure is happening. End of story. And it's fantastic. So I'm going to ask John what he makes of that Galactic Federation thing. Just a moment. Just going to. Okay, so yeah, he says that's planned. It's fantastic. He says we all knew about it. They all knew about it ahead of time in the etheric. He is up on the ships at times as well, because they can come into the kind of take on enough density, and say 5th or 6th dimensional density. It's just sort of like it's a different kind of body than say what we would have here on Earth right now. But yeah, he says completely planned, and there's protection around that gentleman who came out and spoke of it openly, and he says we're going to see more. Fantastic. Let me see here. So the monoliths are from the Galactics. Yes, they are. He's saying 100%. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, thank you for your really lovely, beautiful comments, everyone. What did you want to take? What question you want to take next, Demetria?
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
There's one from Randy saying, what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion. Emotion, yes. Yeah.
Beautiful comments. I do want to read some of the comments. The way that Caroline and John are with words, beautiful. Chef's kiss from Julie. And Patricia, all that you mentioned is very much what was most important highlight, my most important highlights.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, just beautiful comments. Sending much love and blessings from Janine.
If you go further up, I think there's one, I think it's Raven, Ravynne, is saying that she's really struggling with the psychological torture of this whole COVID mess. So let's just bring in a lot of light. I'm going to ask the collective to bring in a lot of light and assist John with that as well. And all of us now will add our light to that. Just bring in, just imagine, beautiful stream of divine golden and silver light, sparkling, flowing down through the crown chakra, filling every cell of your being, all the area around you, your whole home, your whole street, your whole community. And there's a lot of divine love, divine guidance, divine protection in that. And if you want to imagine a beautiful lake, a very still, calm lake in front of you, Raven, or anyone, it's completely still and it's perfectly reflecting the sky and these lovely fluffy clouds sort of gliding by. It's just a perfect reflection. And you are the lake. You are completely still. You might have a slight current deep down underneath, but that is also pretty calm. And you're just reflecting the beauty of the higher realms. There's no disturbance on your surface. And you're just this beautiful, perfect mirror of all the calm and all the beauty of the higher realms. Even if it's hard for you to image, no problem. The energies are still visiting. They're still flowing through you. They'll flow through you as long as you wish, as long as you allow that. And that's for everyone. I'm going to quickly ask your spirit guides if they've got any assistance they want to share. Okay. So you're kind of carrying this for everyone. All right, and you're kind of just carrying this. Can you just set it down? Just image yourself putting it down. You don't have to cure everyone. You don't have to save or protect everyone. They've come in to live their own path. That's all right. And you just open your hands. You're going to let go of all that density and heaviness. And accept all this beautiful light flowing through you. And as you are anchoring that light into the earth, you're anchoring it for everyone. So that's your job, to let go, to breathe, put your hand on your heart for a moment. Just breathe deeply in through the nose with mouth closed. And out through the open mouth, sort of a ha sound. Just do that a few more times. If you want to try some tapping, to sort of calm the emotions, I find that very helpful. So you would start out tapping on that karate chop point where you're just saying, I am fed up, that even though I'm fed up with this whole COVID mess, I still deeply love and accept myself. And you would say that 2 more times. And then you just start tapping on those meridian points, starting the inner eye. I'm just completely fed up, so exhausted, so sad, so angry that this is happening, so kind of lost and stressed and worried. I just want this to end. Under the armpit about 6 inches. I just want this to get better. I don't want people to get sick and leave the planet. I don't want that. I'm feeling really unhappy. I'm really upset. I'm fed up. What the heck is going on? This is a complete mess. I just want it to end. When's it going to end? And I just absolutely require some guidance. And then the next round can be a little calmer, maybe when you're ready. Calling on my team, requiring support, requiring their wisdom, requiring spaces of beauty and light, requiring the calm and peacefulness come back into my body. I'm just absolutely calling forth divine peace, calling forth divine wisdom, calling forth divine love and protection and guidance in all ways. So you're going to get those dense feelings out to begin with. All right, Raven? You're going to just get all that out. All right. And then after a bit, when you're ready, you call in some calm. You call in divine guidance. And you're not alone at any of this, my friend. Really and truly, you're not alone. We're all here with you. Your angels are with you. Your guides are with you. It's a question of spending more time concentrating on establishing your own peaceful center rather than letting your thoughts run away with you and taking in information. We're so addicted to information. Wow, I'm ahead of the crowd on that one. I'm always checking for more information, please. And in fact, it's not really helpful right now. Not at all. So that's part of what this book is about, pulling you out of that media news stream and back into your own inner calm, your own inner center, talking to your spirit team, feeling their presence, feeling their lovely angelic presence around you, calling the angels, calling the archangels. Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful. All right, sweetie. So that will continue. Yeah. So I don't know what you want to go to next, Demetria.
Yeah, so we're kind of on time. So I don't know if we'll be able to take any more questions. But I do want to just speak to what other people have been saying and know that, what we just did is, what Caroline just walked us through is a good practice for anybody who's feeling this. And also, and this was another thing from the book as well, is like, it's so important right now to understand the old way of like trying to save people by basically giving out our energy is actually not, it's actually not where the vibration of the earth grids are not matching with that. And so we have to stand as light. That's the greatest help that we can give and serve. And actually, and so what does that mean? Because sometimes it's like, it's even hard to understand, what does that mean, stand as light? Because that is a huge thing. Am I doing enough? Am I serving enough? And it's like, when the more conscious you are, and what that means is like let go of resistance, like let go of trying to do anything.
Yeah.
Right? The more that you can be in surrendered and, use these tools when it gets too intense, use the tapping and get help. I mean, like we mentioned, invest. It's like, forget all the stuff, all the material goods, but it is worth investing in an energy healer or someone who can kind of walk you through the intense moments. And, one session is not going to, there's deep patterns in the subconscious. And so being present and being conscious and shining that light. So go ahead, Caroline. I know you have something to say.
God, you brought that up. Really, Demetria, I'm so thankful you brought this up. Somebody's talking about, put in a comment, understandable. What about the children? Do they need our help to be free from enslavement? They do. They're saying, I want them to be free and healed and loved. I think about this every day. I'm a children's advocate. Absolutely. As someone else is saying, I'm needing relief from the cabal corruption coding. I completely follow. You and I could carry the weight of this world on our shoulders. Without even blinking, we could easily do that. And John points out at one point, you could heal the whole planet. You're still, that's not healing yourself. And this need we have to not see others in pain is all about healing ourselves. It's all about not wanting to feel sad and aggrieved and enraged and abandoned or abused ourselves. And that's where it starts. And that sounds kind of crazy. People say, oh no, I'm just a compassionate person. But something in you and me gets triggered when we see a child who's been abused or abandoned. And that's our own inner child from this and or other lives. And the healing starts with us. And what Dimitri is saying is brilliant, because this is what John is saying. We can't carry the world on our shoulders. We cannot do that. When we give our own life energy away, we become sort of, as they say, enmeshed with others. We take on their pain, we give them our strength. Well, how long is that going to last before you and I our health starts to break down? And before we just are exhausted? Empaths are famous for having adrenal exhaustion. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I take supplements for that, because we overgive too much, and we're trying to cure it all. We want to save everybody.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I know you've helped me with that, and I've actually had a lot of people help me with adrenal. It's come up so many times in my life, especially when I was younger. You know, they could, you know, people who could really see what was going on. It was like, yeah, your adrenals. And I think a lot of people probably don't even realize the pressure that an empath's adrenals are under. And so, you know, it's just constantly like, how can I give more love to myself? Because every time you give love to yourself, you are the microcosm, you're the holograph. You give love to yourself and you're giving love to all the children. You're giving love to all the beings, all the sentient beings. Like every time you love that part of yourself that's looking to be acknowledged, right? That's love you're giving to a sentient being. Every time you acknowledge yourself. So
yeah,
that's, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And just, you know, and like we said, ask for help. and he says this as well. It's like, there's only so much that, because we live in a free will, right? We're in a free will zone. So we do have to actually ask our guides for help and ask other earth angels for help as well. So
another excellent point. Thank you, Dimitri. You're saying all the important stuff here. I'm probably not awake enough. It's only 11:43 here. I'm not awake. But you're mentioning all the salient points. Thank you so much. He does point this out, and I agree with this intuitively as well, that a lot of help can't come to us until we ask for it, because we do have free will on this planet. And yes, that's been meddled with the old crowd, but the higher realms respect us, and they don't just jump in for the heck of it. We have to shift to a consciousness that brings that in, or we have to call out to them and require them. And sometimes you have to be, you know, to come forward. Sometimes you have to be really insistent and continue with it. Persist. Just keep saying, your team, I require divine guidance on this issue. I require protection, or I require your wisdom on this. Absolutely. Let's go. Come through for me on that. Or tell me what's going on with this situation that I can't seem to work it out, or heal it, or resolve it, or shift it to a higher level, or whatever it is. Yeah, this is really up to us. It's a little crazy because we haven't been taught to do that. We haven't been told that at all.
Absolutely. And you know, also be willing to receive. So go ahead. Sorry, Caroline.
I was just going to say, we've been told to pray for things, not pray it in like command it forth, but say, oh, we're praying for this, like, oh, please help us. And it's a victim mentality. And in fact, you know, like the Native American shamans would say, we pray this, we pray rain, we pray sun, we pray this. In other words, we command it forth. And that is,
yes.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, and just along the same lines is like you pray, you command it, and then observe where you already have it. Observe how and where within yourself, within your environment, observe where you already have it. or where you already have a form of it. Like, yes, maybe it's not in the form that you want, and you're like, I've been asking for this for years and I
Yeah.
still don't have this thing. But then really look deeper into, like, okay, the essence of it, like really observe in this moment where you have the essence of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be willing to receive that,
Yeah.
right?
Perfect. Because if you carry something in your energies, you're 1,000 times more likely to manifest it. So let's say you want more freedom in your life, you want more time, then you would start focusing on any free time you have and really giving thanks for that. If you want more money, you start focusing on even that 59 cents that you have left and just give thanks for that, like you were a millionaire. And what you're focusing on, that's going to enlarge. What you appreciate appreciates, as they say. That's going to enlarge, and you will receive more of it, but not while you're saying, oh, there's a lack, I don't have enough, I don't have enough of that, I don't have enough, which again is what we're trained to do. And then we're trained to jump up and run out the door and go fix that without our action. And that's okay, but how long is that going to carry you? You know, you need to shift your whole energies. This is something we still need to learn on this planet. I think we are. I think we're getting there.
Yeah. 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 And, giving. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I mean, I know we're trained to, we hear a lot like to give, but when is the last time you showed that vibration of giving and of sharing to someone that you really feel is supporting this new vibration, that's supporting goodwill in a peaceful earth? What companies are you supporting? I always want to speak into this. When you buy things, when you go to the store, when you give your resources, that's a vote. Every day you vote.
That's
When
great.
you go, right? That's a vote. You're casting your ballot every time you give your money to a company. And it's like, is that company, are they supporting sentient beings? Are they promoting peace and goodwill and in a united earth, a harmonious earth? That's something to ask every time you vote with your money.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I wish more people would think that way, and I know it takes time to shift over, to think in terms of companies that are kind to the environment and positive toward their employees. I know it's difficult, but I greatly appreciate these companies that stop and consider something besides the bottom line. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's time for that. More conscious companies are coming through now, it's wonderful. Really, really.
And I just one last thing before we close here is, I'm sure everyone knows this very significant date coming up of
Yeah.
December 21st, right, is 0 degrees Aquarius, where they're saying that this is officially the start of the Aquarian age. So we actually have a date. We have this marker where it's like, okay, everybody, we have now transitioned from service to self into service to the all.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm just answering somebody's question here, but that is a powerful date. I mean, I feel like we're going to be unstoppable after December 21st, 100%.
I really feel like that, that it's like a marker for us, like, not to have any expectations, but to just like, this is what we have been talking about. And now the energies are 100% supporting that unity consciousness. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's here, for really supporting this, because if you're here, that's what you're invested in. You're invested in this kind of consciousness. You're invested in peace on earth, just like the song, just like John Lennon and that Caroline brought forth. So I just want to thank you so much, Caroline, for agreeing to create like this with me and with us, and to bring, so courageously you bring forth the messages from our truest nature of who we really are, our source, the source of our being, where we're all connected. And you consistently, courageously, compassionately have been doing that. So thank you.
So kind. Thank you so much, Demetria. I think probably everybody in this group, whether they're listening live or by replay, is assisting, is helping with that. I think we're all assisting with that now, assisting the archangels. And your healing, work as a healing practitioner and an abundance teacher, and everything you do is so astounding. And we want to have you back in the abundance call soon. Very, very thankful for your presence there, and just lovely to see everyone's light. Thank you so much, everyone. So beautiful.
It truly is astounding. I'm just observing it all, and the comments are beautiful. And so, yes, absolute honor. And may we do this again, Caroline. Shall we do this again?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Demetria. I owe you a lot, my friend. I do.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I honor you so much. Thank you. I love you all. Until we meet again. Namaste, everyone.
Sure.